I'm going to have to cleverly say that the CFL, I'm going to say, is calling an audible here when it comes to government intervention here. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here. And it's been a while since I made a video talking about where the CFL is at and are we going to actually have a 2020 CFL season this year? May I add the 75th anniversary of my Calgary Stampeders? Who the heck knows? I've been hearing crickets chirping here this whole time here, but you've been still hearing many proposals from many sources, and you still haven't got one definitive yes or no. But what the story I'm going to talk about here is that the CFL is calling an audible, I'll cleverly recall that, on asking for government intervention here. As originally, a few months ago, the CFL initially was seeking $150 million from the federal government in Ottawa here to cover, losses that's been caused due to this global pandemic with COVID-19 or coronavirus here, and that the league was looking for $30 million initially here, since when all sports has been paused here back in March here. The league definitely has not seen any revenue here, and the business model with the CFL is all based on gate revenue, with fans going to the game and buying tickets here. But then, everything got postponed or pushed off here, where, training camps obviously got postponed. The draft was done virtually here, but it's always been done virtually anyway, or, through conference calls with respective general managers here, and I did my draft recap on what the Calgary Stampeders did this past year here. But then they said the season was not going to start till July here, at least July. Well, here we are into July here. And I am personally still losing the optimism that there's actually going to be a season this year. Or at least I'm definitely not going to be going to the stands at McMahon to watch a game here. And it's definitely going to be interesting how the CFL could pull it off here if they do want to play games here, because they're still committed to, although you've been hearing maybe they want to start playing games in September here with the previous season here. And the latest proposal that I've heard from 3 Down Nation is a 6-game regular season, 8 teams make the playoffs. That kind of seems a little silly there. I think why don't we just have everybody make the playoffs, because there's 9 teams. The team that finishes first gets a bye in the next round here. I know I can see them wanting expanded playoffs to recoup some money back. The league's going to lose money either way, but all sports is going to be losing money here, because you're not going to have fans in attendance here, as with all the other major leagues and their return to play plans here. And we are slowly getting closer to it might actually happen here. But the CFL has been very quiet, and definitely as a fan, and now the players are definitely hearing frustration that they haven't been informed much. And what we're hearing from this latest plan, that no one has really confirmed or denied about the shortened season, that player salaries are going to be prorated here. But the league also was maybe kicking around Hub City. I think that's the only way they could do it, is the Hub City model, where you're hearing that maybe potentially Hamilton, Ontario, but then you also been hearing Winnipeg definitely is a strong contender, and maybe Regina and Saskatchewan. When it comes to cases, although the population's a lot smaller, case numbers have been much, much lower when it comes to in Saskatchewan, Manitoba here. Canada overall definitely has been doing a lot better in slowing down the spread here, and the cases have been slowing down. We're definitely a lot better than what's been happening in the U.S., unfortunately, here. And, we still have that border restriction here, which I think the border is going to be closed indefinitely. They're just going to keep pushing, as we say, kick that can down the road here. And when you got players from all over the place here, they're going to have to quarantine here. But this is what the Sports article here about the Audible on government intervention here is, that the league it sounds like the league might still want to try to have a season here after all, but still not ruling out the season being canceled here. Is that the Canadian Press source? CFL submits revised financial request to federal government here. And I've been hearing, if you could look online here, not from the league, but apparently there's maybe some positive progress on the government maybe intervening to give some aid to the CFL to prop it up here. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's these government restrictions and health authorities that saying, well, you can't operate because of, trying to contain this global pandemic here. And hopefully the league can also find other ways to make some money here. I mean, you only get a couple $1 million from the TSN TV contract here. It's not like the NFL, where the NFL and all major leagues will do somewhat alright with their TV deals, but the CFL is definitely gauger in league here. It says here the CFL sent federal Canadian Heritage Minister Stephen Gilbelt, if I say his name here, Gilbelt, a revised financial request here. So now the league says it's seeking about $42.5 million in aid here. In April, the CFL asked up to $150 million. That's worst case scenario if the 2020 season does not happen here and it's cancelled due to the global pandemic here. The source added the request is to cover the operating costs, player salaries for a shortened 2020 season here. So maybe this funding could come in if that there's a plan for a shortened season, that they can get some government intervention here. And then it also talks about, well, initially that the league talked about wanting $30 million immediately to offset the impact from the shutdown here, and then $120 million if or when the 2020 CFL season gets canceled here. I mean, there's still no rule out that the season might still be canceled here, but I mean, still the earliest that a season could happen based on speculation won't be until Labor Day here. It also says that in the article here. And then to close out the article here, so last month the CFL, the league, and the Players Association again talks about amending the current CBA here, because the CBA expires, I think, after 2021 here. So part of the kind of same approach that the NHL did was work out an extension on the collective bargaining agreement while throwing in a return to play plan here. That apparently it says prior to negotiations begin, the league gave the union a memo outlining conditions that wanted to be completed by July 23rd here. So maybe in a couple of weeks here we'll get some more updates on CFL and their plans here. But it sounds like they're calling an audible on wanting to get some government intervention, and the league definitely still going to need some government intervention if they're going to see through this year. And I know you've been hearing so many stories out there. I know David Braley, one of the owners of the BC Lions, still said that if they could still salvage the season, we'll lose less money. I mean, that's ultimately, it's a losing battle right now. It's just trying to soften the blow here. But I'm still have a hard time seeing there being a season with fans being allowed at the games. I mean, they're going to have to come up with a hub city model somehow, play an abbreviated season, have an expanded playoffs to maybe still generate some added revenue here. I mean, I think the league will need some government intervention here, because you're not going to get, revenue from fans going to the game, buying tickets, buying merchandise, buying concessions there. And I don't think I'm going to be going to McMahon myself this season here, and depending what happens here, if I'll either transfer my funds to 2021 or maybe wait here, because we don't know yet on when fans will be allowed to go to the game here. And that's definitely going to be the last thing that's going to be lifted, because I've seen charts where they rank a risk from 1 to 9 in terms of riskiest to contracting the virus here. And 9 is, gatherings like festivals here, which is why the Calgary Stampede ultimately got canceled. Concerts, that's why there's not going to be any concerts for a while. And sporting events, definitely why major leagues have been talking about getting games played with no fans here. And it has had some success overseas with Bundesliga and soccer, and I hearing it's still going on with baseball in South Korea there. But I know those countries are definitely a lot tighter when it comes to the restrictions here, and it's still time to be tell what's going to happen here in North America when it comes to our major leagues, and they're still progressing on starting to play here, but there hasn't been anything definitive or in stone or concrete on what the CFL's plan is. They're still thinking about, we still want to play games in our home cities. We'll hopefully have fans here, but I think it's still going to be a while before fans going to be allowed here? And then the other question is, well, how do you have it? Is that going to be an all or nothing thing? Like, is there either going to be no fans or a full stadium? Because you hear that, well, maybe we'll have partial fans in. I mean, yeah, you can spread out fans in the stadium, potentially, to have games. But how would you enforce, fans, when they want to move? Like, go into the stadium, go use the concessions, use the facilities, maybe pick up some merchandise. I mean, that's definitely, you see that in malls there and markets there. The only way that they could potentially do that, and that's all sporting events in general here, is that they would have to make you wear a mask. That's definitely going to have to be something here, but that's what you also hear here. And then in previous videos I talked about that the 108th Grey Cup, which originally is scheduled to be on Sunday, November 22nd, and it was going to be in Regina, Saskatchewan here. Well, obviously it's not going to happen now with the festival and all the wonderful stuff that I enjoy going to Grey Cups for. That the Grey Cup game will be whoever has the best record of the two teams in the championship here, assuming we have a season and we get that far, that the best record team would host the Grey Cup here. Who knows, potentially Saskatchewan could still host the Grey Cup if they have the best record that's in it. And then next season already, Hamilton has it, so they moved the Saskatchewan hosting the full Grey Cup in 2022, which would be the 110th Grey Cup here. But, that's all I can give right now on CFL. If you're curious here, I haven't heard much. I've been hearing lots of speculation out there on like 3 Down Nation, or occasionally here and there on TSN with their insiders. I know Dave Naylor is definitely the insider there. I haven't heard much, and I'm not too sure if you can, praise or criticize the job that Commissioner Randy Ambrosie is doing, because I definitely have no problem with the league, seeking government intervention here, because we're not a, multi-billion-dollar sport here that the other major leagues, that they can absorb these costs here. And if they do the hub city model, they're definitely going to need some operating costs for how to house these players, how to enforce it. You hear all these other major leagues how they plan on enforcing it during hub cities here and make sure everyone adheres to her. And then especially if you got players, most half our players come from the U.S. there, and hopefully they're fine, and then you got to worry about testing and all that wonderful stuff there too, which definitely is not cheap here, but is necessary. But what do you think everything where the CFL's at? I'm losing optimism that there'll actually be a season. I may almost think that maybe the league might actually lose less money if they just throw in the towel and not have a season this season, and hopefully get some government intervention, and then hopefully venture on in 2021. Hopefully everything somewhat back to normal, where fans can go back to the games, and there'll be a lot of those restrictions there. It also depends on the medical community. If there's a vaccine or an effective proven treatment here, you got to say both those things here, because nothing is guaranteed right now here. But that's definitely the audible right now, that the CFL is looking at changing their approach on how much money they're seeking for the government. And that sounds like that's from that article that they're looking at wanting that much money while still having a shortened season here. But 6 games, 18 playoff. But what do you think of that idea? I think they should tweak it. Have a season. Since we have 9 teams in the league, how about you seed everyone 1 through 9? The top seed gets a bye into the next round here, and then everyone else plays out, and then figure out the games from there. You're almost going to have to do a hub city model here. The East-West Grey Cup, I don't think is going to happen unless that's the thing, because you could have a top seeded team in the West or East here. I think that's the exception you'll have to make this year. That'd be my suggestion if you're going to salvage something, is have a regular season, have everyone make the playoffs. Top seed gets a bye into the next round, and you seed everybody, 2 through 9. Seed everyone that way, and then you just reseed after every round until you eventually get to a Grey Cup, which will be in whoever has the best record of the teams in there. And I just don't think it's going to happen with fans in the stands here, but it's definitely hard to say. And I think football is definitely going to be the hardest sport to enforce, bubbles and, testing, and how are you going to keep everyone safe here. So that's why I'm losing optimism that there's going to be a season and it'll actually happen here, because it'd just be a lot more complicated if you ask me, and that's my take on it. And but what do you think about it? So anyway, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, all the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders here. I'm also talking Calgary sports on my channel here. I also been talking about other Major League sports and their return to play plan here. But I also have personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and I also do share my experience, let's say I'm on the road or at a sport event here, which, given the way things are right now, it's definitely going to be a while before I engage in those activities, both, choosing to stay in and not being allowed to do so yet. But if that all sounds like you'd be interested to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. You know what you need to do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also have my other social media links down in the description below there. So as I say here, go Stamps go, and here we are, approaching the middle of July here, and I mean, under normal circumstances, we should be talking about getting almost the first quarter of the CFL season in, and I already had a couple episodes of my Calgary Stampeders this month in, but I don't know when Season 3 is going to start, or is Season 3 going to happen in 2020 here, but still remains to be seen here, and I'm just going to keep making videos on sports updates here, but a lot of this time it's been crickets chirping and hearing too much speculation here and there, but I just felt there was enough material out there and speculation out there to make a video talking about the CFL here. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and go Stamps go.